Alright, and we're back. So, what I believe we said we were going to start on last time, it was last night granted, was adding this barrel here, the little plastic pieces here, the tubing, and the sight. I think we said we'd do the tubing if we had time, but I'm sure we'll have time. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to put in this rubber piece at the front here. So let's go ahead and throw down a polycylinder. And this is exactly like how we did the barrel. And we've got 20, let's try 16. 16 is pretty good. It's closer to the front of the weapon, so if I am going to have any tilting to the side, maybe when the character jumps down, the weapon tilts to the side a little bit and then comes back up. We're going to want to have that little bit of extra detail there. Plus, it's going to be what's seen more by someone getting shot. They're not really going to be looking at it that closely, at least I'd hope not, or you're asking to die, but it's a good day to die. And then we're going to rotate the Z 90 degrees here. And we're going to do the same thing kind of did last time. We're going to delete these faces in here. I honestly debated actually showing this part, but since it is a talk through, as I'm calling it, might as well go through the whole thing so you're not getting lost as to where you were. Should you have seen something? Did you miss something? And we can do this relatively quickly. It won't take more than 10 minutes. If you want to skip past, go ahead and skip past. Nobody's stopping you. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to combine these meshes, merge these vertices, 2 to 1, and then bridge these just like we did last time. I'm going to have a few more divisions this time, I think 3. I think I only had 2 last time, because it is closer to the front, and if we're going to put more detail on the edges, might as well have more detail here. There are at least on more details on the number of you know what I mean. I'm sorry, I have been at work all day, and doing very similar stuff to this. Although I've started putting decals in Unity. That's my current project. We're building like the parking lots and everything, putting decals on the road and sidewalk. So it's not quite the same thing. There's actually a really nifty tool that I'm going to put up in a separate video that I found for using decals in Unity. So if you're using Unity and you're using decals, which let's face it, if you're making a video game, you're probably using decals at one point, then it's just a really good tool. It helps you. It has great integration. It's an external plugin that someone else wrote, and it works really well. You just put a game object in there, which there's little interactive toolbox for it. Then you use your texture atlas to declare the what space is the texture you're using, and then it's pretty intuitive. It's pretty great. It's easy to use. All around awesome idea. And I'm realizing that I'm building this on the wrong side again. So I'm just going to flip it over the z-axis again. Turn that -1 and that x-axis. I always do that. In case you didn't know that or notice what I did in the last video, flipping this over the axis is as easy as just changing that value, the scale value, to -1. That'll let you flip over that. See, and here's one of those spots where I'm considering cutting it in to this here, cut there, cut there, cut there, cut there. But it's just extra polygons that I don't think are entirely necessary for the weapon. I think they can serve perfectly fine as separate pieces. We'll see what I decide later on. So we've got that done. We can go ahead and we're going to create the muzzle now. I'm kind of wondering, I believe we'll just do a polycylinder here. I didn't actually put it on the front, so we're gonna have to get the size right here. The O scale cylinder is with the center one, and you do that because you don't want to, unless you're doing a long side like that, you don't want to do it that way. And we'll go ahead and we'll change this from 20 to 18. Really? It doesn't like that because I've changed some of the stuff on it. Should really do that before you change anything. So that should always be the first thing you do when you're working with polycylinders, change the number of subdivisions. That was just me being dumb for a second. Like I said, I've been at work all day. I have a right to be. Alright. And so we've got that in place. Kind of. There we go. Now it's in place. And I think I actually am going to keep it as a cylinder like that, because that's how most weapons are. Even though it is a plasma weapon instead of anything different. I think for particle effect, it would be easier to do a particle ball than like a somewhat square object, like a huge trail behind it. So we got that. I'm going to go ahead and go in here and we're going to select these and delete them. I was just deleting the back face here. So that I can do this, extrude those. I've done this countless times. Extrude again, and pull that in. And I don't want to cut this into the model if I don't have to. Usually you can get away with just painting it completely black. But because, well, this detail, yes, I added that detail a little more because you're going to see it staring at it, but you're not going to see this directly. I'm not too concerned about that. Maybe I'll change it later, maybe I won't. That's just what that comes down to. And then we said we were going to build these, this, and the sight. Yeah, we're definitely going to get to those tubes, no problem. So we're going to go ahead and hop in here and we're going to build our sight, which is kind of an impractical sight because there's no forward sight to line it up with. But we're just hoping nobody notices that. Shh. We're just going to pretend that nobody can figure that out. So for this, I'm going to need... It's on this face, right? Yep. An extra division on that. I'm going to go into object mode. Cut it up a little bit. Not great topology here, but you'll see what we can do with that when we have the other side. Is that lining up perfectly? I sincerely hope that I don't have. Okay, so it's set to world. This kind of looked like it wasn't lined up properly there, but it is. perspective, fooling me again. So now I've got that. I'm going to. No, I'm not going to extrude that. I'm going to cut these faces where I need them. Try to clean this up. I'm going to grab this face and extrude it. This face, extrude it. There we go. And I'm going to extrude it multiple times just to give me some starting polygons to work with. Move this over here. And again, I want to get these fairly lined up with each other. Zoom in there on them. I can try to select through those to do that. And yeah, I probably could have been using the scale tool on those last couple, but there we go. Wearing out my middle mouse button. It's no problem. I'm actually gonna bring these up where I want them to be at the end. And just add some subdivisions later. Up here, grab these faces and just bop, 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 bop. And the fifth one. Really, this is kind of a smaller detail, but since it protrudes out of the top of the weapon, it should have some detail. There we go. That kind of right there. That looks pretty good. And it's on the right side of the weapon. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a cool little trick here. I'm going to intentionally break the edge flow so that I can do this. Or so that I can do this. Again, I don't know which way the UVs are going, so I just have to take a guess. And you'll see why I did that a little later if you can't already figure it out. So we got that sight in there. It's looking pretty good. No, should fix this edge flow here that we intentionally botched. See, I hate it when it does that. I'm on Maya 2013, so I can't even blame it on Maya 2012. This is what I normally do. It's Maya 2012, let's face it. There are a lot of issues. Just making sure there's only one vertice there. And that's looking pretty good. It's coming along, coming along. A dangerous thing to do, though, is marvel at your work. Because you'll get stuck that way. Trust me, I've done it many times. You start putting stuff into Unity before you should really be putting stuff in Unity, and you get stuck just looking at how beautiful it is. So let's go ahead and let's put these in. These tubes in. Looks like they go between both of these. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this live. Well, first, before I do anything crazy, I'm going to save as a new iteration. And then I'm going to grab these two faces, you and you. And here's where we start having fun. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make a polycylinder off of this. We made it live so that we can make the polycylinder here. And now, what we're going to do, I'm going to try and remember how to do this correctly. I'm going to delete these faces. First, I'm going to reduce this because that's too many for that pipe. 10, 12. Take these and soften the normal and see how that looks. I think that's too many. I think it only needs 10, maybe even 8. Yeah, that's plenty. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take this off live because I don't like working on that live when it doesn't need to be. And I'm going to set this to axis local. I'll just set it to face. That's fine. Whoa. Let's set it to edge, since that'll definitely work. Edge tends to work better than face a lot. Oh, and I did that for the move tool instead of the scale tool. So I'm going to scale this down here. I'm going to get segments that are a decent size for what I'm going to do. I'm going to be extruding on this. If I'm remembering how to do this correctly, which I'm probably not, I'm going to extrude this. I'm going to generate a curve. Actually, no. I hate generating the curve. It doesn't work as nicely as it's supposed to. I wanted to show you how it's supposed to work, but no. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to create a CV curve. I'm going to put it here. Actually, this isn't quite where I wanted it. Ugh. Set it to world. And we're going to go create our CV curve. And I need enough to start generating the curve, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a couple in there. And I'm going to go to Control Vertex. Move these around until I get about the curve that I'm looking for. I want this to come out nice. So I want to have this one kind of high up compared to how it actually looks like it should be. Yeah. So I'm going to take this curve. Can't really do that. I'm trying to center it on this object as much as I can. And now I'm going to take these faces. I'm going to select the curve. I want to extrude on the selected curve. And I want, let's try 10 divisions. Well, damn, that worked just about perfectly. There's not much else to say about that. That's just spot on. And to think I was frightened about it. And what's nice here is you can go in here, and the object is still attached to the curve. So the curve is kind of like a deformer. It might be hard to find in here. But you can just select both of them and then release it. You still have the curve in here. And the curve still has its history attached to this object. So you can go in here and you can do Control Vertex. And if you don't like exactly how it came out, you can tweak it a little bit. And so that's a nice thing that you can do. I'd say I got it just about spot on. Not bragging, I honestly just got lucky. And I had enough divisions. But yeah. That's exactly what I wanted. Beautiful. B-E-A-beautiful. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select both of these and I'm going to duplicate them. But this one is not going to have that history attached to the curve. So this is going to be the one that I'm going to keep over here, but it is still attached, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a while since I've done this. No, it's not still attached to that one. So this one, the curve is useless now, and on this one we're going to modify the curve for it. So we're going to go ahead, go into this one again. Select both of them, then I deselect that, and then I go into the white space, and that'll allow me to get the menu for the curve. Did last time at least. Let's just select it in here. No, it's because we had both of those there. Now let's go into Control vertex. There we go. Show all. And let's change this to what we want. Want it to end over here. Want it to arc up more. I'm trying to stretch out these divisions more over the course of the whole curve. I want it to come out of the same place, in the same general area, but end in a different area. Now you know how to make tubes and pipes and stuff. Useful things to know how to make. I'm teetering back and forth between this one and this one. Regardless, there we go. And I'm going to soften the normals. Soften the normals. Those look fantastic. One's on one side of the weapon, one's on the other. And that's exactly what I was looking for. So got those done. Hell, we're only half an hour in. I thought this was going to take longer, because normally I do have issues with that, but I have learned well, I suppose. Now, this pipe running through here, it's kind of hard to see exactly how thick it's supposed to be. I'm going to go ahead and isolate the selected here so that I can just see how big that I wanted the pipe to be, because I can't place it in the other one, so it'll come out wrong. That was weird. And that's about the size we want. So now I can come over here. I'm going to rotate it along the x-axis, 90 degrees. Move it up to where we want it over here. And hey, fits pretty well. Let's reset this to world. Knock this down a bit. Before we start changing stuff, we're going to go ahead and we're going to change the subdivisions on the axis. I think we said 10 on the other ones. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the fifth one on the top, so 10. Go ahead and pull these out now. Make it a little bigger. This is something that there's absolutely no reason to cut this into the weapon. There's really no reason at all. This one's in the center. Keep grabbing the wrong components for some reason. There we go. So I'm going to select all and I'm going to delete by type history so that this curve is no longer attached to the object, and then I'm going to delete that. If I delete the curve without deleting the history, then it's going to delete all the changes that it was influencing on the object. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Then I'm just going to do a little optimization here. Grab these faces. Deselect these. And like I said, this is for intermediate, so I'm going to expect that you know how to select and deselect stuff using these not necessarily even tricky ways. It's just the way. So that's why I'm not really going to go into that. If you don't know how selections work, Time to learn. Oops. Looks like I screwed one of them up, but... The reason that I do that is so you don't have to do this. I'm just going to append this. I could have undone, but I'd rather not. Yeah, I'm just going to soften the whole objects. They're both entirely soft objects. Go ahead and save this as 6, even though I'm getting ahead of the tutorial series. Alright. And that moved off a little bit in the wrong spot. Put these where they belong. Awesome. Now I am going to go ahead and I'm going to go back and I'm going to harden these. Because remember, hard edges, I mean, they're not going to make any change because they're on the end of the object, but hard edges are going to cost more in a gaming engine. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make these guys hard. All right, and we're looking pretty good. Only 32 minutes in, I gotta come up with something else to do. Alright, let's go ahead and start duplicating our stuff. I instinctively pop into that view for some reason. Don't ask me why, because I don't know. Maybe a psychologist can tell me why I do that. If there are any psychologists watching this. Go ahead and we're going to do that. And if these were larger pieces, we would we'd be instancing them, but 72 tries or instancing them in Unity or in UDK or whatever we use, but they're not big enough to bother with that. Alright. Oh, that doesn't look very good. In case you didn't know, yes, you can grab components on different objects at the same time. I think that did it. Yeah, it did. I don't want to get too nitpicky about softening and hardening normals right now because a lot of them are going to change later. Are these on backwards? This is on backwards. Yeah. Okay, so this is just the only thing. Oopsie daisy. Alright, let's see if I can get this right this time. Bam! Got it right. Sorry if you can hear my sweet mate, he's being loud again. You can see just how beautiful softening normals on an object. And this just has on any object. That's not the best, but it's something manageable. I think when we get a texture on there, it's going to become unnoticeable. Not big enough to really have to deal with now. Let's go ahead and let's drag these down. And I don't want this one completely touching the bottom. So I'm going to do that. it's actually covering up this this space we have here. So we're going to grab these, and we're going to make sure we have keep spacing on. After this guy, we're going to pull this guy back. So we can kind of get that curve back. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We've clearly got some distance here, but we're not going to see that after we duplicate it. On the bottom, we will see that though, so we're going to go ahead and grab this edge here. Just move that back to a close. And then we can set this edge and snap it to it. There we go. Didn't quite snap where I wanted it to, but there we go. So we can revisit this trigger, how we're going to do that. This this preheating trigger here. So I want the duplicating to be in a separate video, just so so people looking for it can find it easier. So we can go ahead. That's what I can do. I just need the topology around here. It's not going to do what I want. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab this section here. And the shortcut for isolate select is Shift-I. It's very useful to know. And then we can go ahead and I'm going to put some manual loops in here. With this tool and the interactive split tool, you can actually, it says it wants you to click here, but usually it can figure out what you mean. Sometimes it won't, so don't be angry at it when it doesn't. It warned you, it told you what it wanted. Sometimes we don't get what we want. Ain't that the truth? Those lined up where we want them, and then let's add the topology in here. Oops, accidentally double click there. Don't want that. And this is what I did with the handle grip. If you'll remember, I said that I put some topology in there, or not the handle grip, but the front grip, the barrel grip. This is exactly what I did up there. You felt like you were missing out on anything. Well, here you go. So now that I have that topology in place, I can just go ahead, grab these, make sure that I'm only grabbing here. Get these in place. Oh, don't like that. Just going to grab the faces and cut them. This is a fairly simple object, which is why Cut Face Tool has worked really well for me, where I normally wouldn't recommend it. And that's because it's a fairly simple weapon. It's not too crazy. Because otherwise I'd be saying edge loop tool, edge loop tool. Always use the edge loop tool, but it's gonna work fine for me here. We'll go ahead and grab these faces and preemptively cut them. So yeah, I'm gonna have to move them around a little bit. And this part of the weapon is kind of hidden by the barrel most of the time. Those plasma accelerator rings and stuff. It's gonna take away from this, so that's why I'm not worrying too much about having it super detailed. Make it a little smaller to accommodate that. I'm sorry, I kind of get a little soft there. I'm gonna try and not do that. That looks pretty good. Let's throw up a test render to see how it looks. That's something that doesn't look right. It's because the topology is a little confusing. I feel like there should be an edge here instead of to there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. Still feels a little weird just looking at it, but it works. It's what we want. Actually, I think I did like this better where it was for the normals. I kind of don't want to do that. I don't like what this is doing here. Go ahead and I'm going to grab all these. I'm just going to harden them again. Because that's going to be a metal component, so I think it would be better like that. In fact, I kind of want to try something here. It's an afterthought idea. That looks pretty good. And see, there's no shame in doing this sometimes. It's advancing your idea a little bit. Sorry about that. And after I terminate one of these, I'm not going to terminate another one because there's a faster way to do that. I don't even need to worry about that side because we're going to delete all those faces anyway. There we go. That looks pretty good. And again, it's a metal piece. Maybe just these. I'm gonna do this again. I know I justified doing it another way, but I still want to try. It looks like now, through cleanup, we actually got topology that'll do it better. There we go. Accidental topology fixes. Great. Good stuff. Looks good. I'm gonna turn off these vertices. They kind of bother me sometimes. And I'd say we've got something pretty good going here. So I think for the rest of this one, we're gonna work on pulling out the back here, because that's something I just realized that we'd forgotten to do. And here's where we're gonna have that funky topology that we're gonna be working with. I think how I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna merge this guy over here, and I'm gonna pull this guy and this guy both over here. And let's do that over here. This can come over here, no problem. This can merge with that. Save the poly. Because really every poly you save I don't know why I didn't do this one earlier. I feel kind of stupid for that. Well then, when we get to the end of this, we're obviously gonna go over it. We're gonna find some of these things that we missed, because always when you're going along, like I said, there's that working topology that you'll develop, the topology that helps you model better, and then there's the optimal topology, which is where you have the least polygons you can possibly have. I think I'm going to take these guys and these guys, make them straight with that. Some of you guys are probably saying, finally. Wondering when he was going to do that. Yeah. Now. That works. This works all right. Like I said, it'd be nice, like I said in like the first video, it'd be nice to have them directly lined up, but that would require extra polys here that we really don't need. So now I'm going to try something and see how it works. I'll grab all these and go into soft select. Soft select is not my most favorite of tools. But we're going to see how it works in this case. That's not the curve I want. And then there's the question of, is it worth going in here and changing your curve settings? That. No. No, we're just gonna not use that. It's not gonna be helpful. I'm not great with modifying the settings, but something that's always fairly easy to do is this. Grab these polygons and pull them out. Start here. Just going to control click to deselect those. It looks like we need another loop here. What's this doing? It's not doing anything for us. I'm actually shocked myself at the amount of times that I've used Cut Faces tool this tutorial. See, this is where we're going to start getting all these issues from the topology that we chose. It's not going to be conducive to what we're trying to do here. I'm actually debating going back and changing this topology here. Because really, to get this to work well, we're going to want these lines to be coming down here. But that requires us to line everything up perfectly. And it also has more triangles. I believe it has more triangles. That'll probably result in more. Let's just do it. It's kind of got to be done, so. Maybe something that we don't want to do, but it's something we're going to have to do. We got a few lucky ones before this little tail fin type thing here. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pause for a minute, and I'm going to do this myself because you don't need to know how to do that. You know how to do it already if you've gotten this far. So I'm going to pause and be back in a second. Alright, so I went back again and I fixed all that topology up here. So now we have some perfectly straight lines down through the top section and the bottom section here. And now we can just go ahead and we can move these out. Yeah, I went ahead and tested it, so surprise, it's going to work perfectly. That's the only one that has any issue. Let's just minimize that and we'll be fine. Pull these out here. And we'll go ahead and end like that. This top one comes out a little bit more than the other one. It's fine. I'm thinking from this section back is going to be rubberized, so because it's there to absorb shocks, so there's no sense in it not being rubber. I'm going to move this up. I'm going to pull this down, down, down. And since this is going to be rubber, we can go ahead and soften these normals. There we go. It's pretty good. Looking pretty sharp. All right. So next time, what we're gonna do? Well, we can solve. We've got a couple minutes. We can just soften up some of these normals here. Although I'm afraid that they're going to change next time. Oh, don't grab the last one. Because next time what we're going to be doing is we're going to go ahead and we're going to bevel these edges here. Like this edge here, I want to be beveled. This one down here, I don't care so much about, but I'll consider beveling it. This edge here needs to be beveled. Coming around here as well. And we'll see how it likes this topology. We might actually end up... no, we can't tear apart that topology, but you'll see what we're going to do here. We're going to use a neat little trick here for making the bevel work better. Because with strange topology that it doesn't really like, we'll get into it next time. But I'm just trying to give you a little preview. I'm going to show you a cool trick for getting more perfect bevels. Never perfect. You can never get a perfect bevel. But as close to a perfect bevel as you can around here. And that's what we'll pick up next time. So I will see you guys next time.